What is the importance of community in life? How does it marry with business? And why should we always keep it organic? If you'd like to find out, then you're in the right place. Welcome to Between Views. I'm your host, Alec Koski. This podcast aims to cast light on and connect you with inspirational people, identify them as potential mentors in your journey, and share their stories and wisdom with the world. In this episode, we converse with Benjie Williams about community, business, and lifelong learning. Just before we get started, if you enjoyed listening to this episode, I'd like to invite you to leave a star rating on whichever service you found us, and also the opportunity to join Between Views Patreon community. This is the best way you can support the podcast. We're going to move into the second section of the podcast. So the second section is typically more about what you've learned in business and kind of your philosophy around general things. And the reason I ask these things is because it's always great to learn from your mentors, people I'm sitting with, about how to live, touch better in every way. I really want to learn how to understand business a little bit better. I like how you've built this thing up, and I've been listening so far. I can kind of see where it came from, how it's growing. But if I'm going to find out from you if there are some secret tips that you can teach me. My first question is, firstly, when it comes to business, what are some things you wish you knew when you started? And what's your personal sort of philosophy around it? Like, how do you go about it?
Yeah. So what do I wish that I knew when I started? Look, that's a hard question, because I can't think of something that I wish I'd known.
Yeah.
Because it's for me, social ecology, going back to those values, their mantra was life is about lifelong learning, right? So you can never know all the answers, but it's being open and not being arrogant in yourself to think you know everything. And even when you get the answer, is it really the ultimate answer?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think for me, I took a good approach, and I was just open to the learning journey that is business.
Yeah.
What did I wish that I knew? If I can think of one thing, I wish I had known that commercial real estate was so expensive to rent, and it's all geared towards the landlord. So get in there and buy it real early.
Oh, really?
Buy commercial real estate. If you're a musician in Australia, absolutely get in there.
Yeah.
Buy real estate that's like houses and stuff, but also buy commercial real estate, and have that as an arm of your business. There's no way you can rely on just one thing or what you do.
Yeah.
You have to be diverse, but not too diverse.
Yeah.
Adelaide Steamship Company, long time ago example of a business that got too big, too broad, lost the sight of its initial vision, and was massive, and then had a collapse. I learnt that in business studies at school. So for me, I've got a background. I did that in high school, business studies, but I went and did a diploma as soon as I was like, this is going to be my business. Yeah. I was leaving TAFE. I have to make this more economically viable than TAFE. So I went out there and just got education. I went and did a diploma in business. I took on a year-long mentorship from this group called Basic Bananas. It's you can look them up online, but they were fantastic. People would say that it's expensive. It was $11,000, right, for a year. But for me, it was invaluable. I was genuinely going to make a business out of this. So I now marry community values and business values, and that's really a hard thing to do, to make money and build community at the same time. Yeah. It's always a balancing act. It's like the circus performer that has those plates on the sticks, and they're spinning them and trying to keep the plates from falling off. You're constantly nurturing each one.
So it requires a lot of attention.
A lot of attention, yeah.
Yeah, and balance, of course.
Effort. And we're all, like, the other analogy is that we're icebergs. So when people see me teaching a workshop, they think, this is amazing. This guy, he does it effortlessly and he does this and that. But what's underneath the surface is enormous compared to, and to prop that little 1 hour up of a workshop, is big.
And yeah, so most people don't see what's actually underneath. They don't know all of the things that came together first for you to be able to make that one thing happen.
That's right.
Even something as simple as knowing all of the rhythms that you need to keep an hour-long class going, all of the teaching stuff, all of the business things you had to do just to open this space and have it here so that people could come along.
Yeah.
That's just things that people don't see or think about when they're thinking about business.
No, absolutely. And I think that's the learning journey. For me, keep it organic.
Keep it organic.
Keep it organic. Grow as the business grows. Seek the opportunities. Know roughly what you want to achieve. Know where you want, what your passions are, what you're good at, and hopefully you can just keep accumulating wealth and interest in what you do and your skills, and then you can try. I always learn early on, try and focus on what you're good at and leave what you're not so good at, or try and focus on what you're good at, but elevate what you're bad at. But I think it's better to actually leave what you're bad at and give it to somebody else.
Leave it behind. Let the people.
Don't neglect it, but get help.
Yeah.
Get help from other people. Outsource it.
Yeah.
Make enough money so you can outsource.
Using your main skill. So that you can outsource and build up the other structures around you.
Yeah. But the golden rule for me, absolute business 101. Golden rule. Keep your overheads low. You don't have to make the world's biggest stockpile of money to do your business, but you need to earn enough to live, and your overheads are your business overheads and your life overheads. So your business needs to be funding your lifestyle, outside work, because if you're in business for yourself, but everybody's after your dollar. So do not sign on to that next monthly thing for $10, $20, $30. Don't sign on to an annual fee for $100. Make sure it's critically valuable to your business before you choose to sign on to it, because your business will get sucked dry. Absolutely. Like, there's so many resources out there for business, people looking for $1. Yeah. That it's easy in business. Lots of people are looking successful with their slick websites that cost them $1,000 a year. Yeah. Overheads have got to be much lower, because taxation in Australia, once you get up over 100,000, you're paying nearly 50%. Really? Yeah. So it's brutal. Yeah. Yeah. So you love it? I don't love it. I honestly don't mind paying tax. Yeah. The thing is, I just think that there's a lot of tax to pay. Yeah. So you don't take that into account when you're running a business. Yeah. All the overheads. So, but it's just one of those things. You need to run your business through if you need to run it through the taxation department, if it's not cash based, which most things aren't. Yeah. You need your business to help you buy a house, those sort of things. Yeah. So it's looking at the financials and the bottom lines, keeping that bottom line as low as possible. Golden rule is overheads low. Overheads low. So that's that doesn't matter how much money you make, as long as you're making more than your overheads. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if drumming doesn't work out, at least you can become a business coach. Thank you. Yeah, drumming's going to work out. It's I'm here. Yeah, I can see. Yeah. It's working out, and it's just being ready to pivot. Because I'm connected to a global movement of drummers. So it's not just me sitting here in a little shed in Newcastle, studio in Newcastle. This Village Music Circles network that I have connected to globally through Arthur Hull, and now I'm one of 2 global drum circle facilitators in Australia, connected to 30-odd head facilitators globally. When COVID hit, they were like, how do we take this online? How do we do this online? Yeah. Because there's no room for physical face-to-face stuff. Yeah. And we did it together. We learned how, all this mic stuff and room studio lighting, spaces. Yeah. And so I just taught through the COVID period. Wow. And it's just pivoting your business. Be ready to pivot. You think you know it, you don't. Yeah. You don't know what's coming. So be ready for change, and that's why keep it organic.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. The other word I'd love to talk about now is community. It just seems like no matter what thing we've talked about, you've been in so many communities all at the same time, constantly engaging with those communities of people that were doing what it is that you like to do.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like that's been kind of a vital component of your journey.
Yeah.
How do you understand community, and what does it mean to you?
Well, community is your network. Ultimately, they're there for thick and thin, and you have radiating circles of community. So the inner circles are your key part, your life partner, and your family, your mum and dad, and the grandparents, or uncles and aunties, and then you have your people that are chosen family. They might be on the inner circles. But then you have community of people that radiate out and further away from that. The looser ties you have with people. And friendships, as you go through life, not everybody's going to be your friend 24/7. But
true.
You'll see people, and you can pick up a good friend should be able to have a good relationship. Pick up where you left off. But similarly, great friends, you'll lose them because people's lives get busy, move apart, things happen. I think that being here and now with your community is absolutely important.
How do you mean?
Well, the people that you find yourself around, they are your community. And that ripple effect, having awareness and keeping clear of your own personal boundaries with people is really important. Knowing that not everybody's going to like you all of the time. You can't please all the people all of the time. Being true to yourself, trying not to change your personality for others. If you piss somebody off, that could mean that you're just pissing somebody off. It could also mean you're not telling them what they want, but it's what they need to hear. So, your community, when it's a business, are real people, and you want to make sure that you're bringing good things to their lives and value. Adding value, bringing something. But as soon as that you're not adding value to their lives, well, they're going to go, and that's okay. But also, you've got to treat everybody. It doesn't matter whether they're treating you with respect or not. You've got to treat people with respect in business, and in community. And Newcastle's a great example. People are 1 degree separated, so don't talk bad about anybody. Keep your shit to yourself, really. People will annoy you, people will upset you, but don't worry. 2 weeks from now, 5 years from now, is it going to be?
It won't matter as much.
Won't matter as much. Look, just to carry on from our previous thing as well, community is also made up of competitors, and so in the African drumming scene, we're not like plumbers, right? There's not a dime a dozen. So there's people around, and when I've been through times in Newcastle where there's up to 8 different leaders and schools, and that's cool because it's good for the scene. But people do sometimes overstep the mark, or they turn up to the same events, or they hear you're going to be at something, and there's competitiveness happens, right? But how do I handle it? I've been mentored with my business mentors. You just keep going, keep your own passion, keep focusing what you're doing, and don't worry about what they're doing. If people copy your stuff, take it as a compliment. People try and come in and do the same sort of events as you, let them do it. People will naturally gravitate to one or the other, but just keep doing what you do because and just be consistent. That's another thing with your product. Absolutely add value, but be consistent.
Be consistent with your product, add value to people's lives, don't worry about what the others are doing, just keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly. And just be aware that some people will be attracted to your product, you as a person, and others won't be.
That's the thing you talked about before. Some things attract, some things repel.
Exactly. So, and you're not going to be all things to all people all of the time, right? So with a micro niche like this in Australia, if I can just educate people past the word bongo onto a djembe, and then it's going to be uplifting, and then get them involved in a workshop, great. But for people who go, oh, that's a bunch of hippies sitting in a park, I'm not going to be part of that. I'm not looking to reach that person.
Yeah,
you know, if somebody's like rejecting it, it's for the person that sees this, is drawn to the community, drawn to the physical connection, drawn to the seeming ease of the music. But that's my job as a facilitator, to make things easy for the people that come.
Would you say an important part of your business is being seen?
Oh yeah. I don't like to be seen. Like I said, I'm an introverted extrovert.
Yeah.
So my business is very much the logo and the things and the other people. I've just hired a social media person, and they're wanting to tell my story and get that story out there.
Yeah.
I'm not African.
Yeah.
That's one key thing about me doing African drumming. So I'm not looking for cultural appropriation. What I'm looking is for community creation. So my teachers have said it's an honour for them that I'm spreading what they do and the African rhythms. But I only teach African rhythms to the adults.
Yeah.
When I go to the schools and the preschools, and I'm doing drum circle facilitation, so lots of universal rhythms. Those rhythms appear in South American, African, whatever, Irish rhythms.
So people just would come and think this is just African drumming, but you actually do the lot.
Yeah.
Whatever you can.
Yeah, I'm using the African djembes, so that's why people can easily see that it's that. But that's what it is. That's why it's so important to be seen, because people at a glimpse think it's African drumming, or it's only for hippies in a park.
Yeah.
But it's so much more, and it's doing wonders for the people that are inside and doing it. Yeah. But they're only the people that have taken the step to get involved. Yeah. So how do they get involved? You've got to put something before them. Otherwise they won't know you're there. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to reach their attention. So social media allows that to happen. Olive Tree Market, performing there. But it's also, places like Olive Tree is a good opportunity for my students to perform as well, and hone their skills. Yeah, true. Yeah. For them to have a chance to see what it feels like to perform and being part of a group and play together. Exactly. Wow. The thing that I'm really wondering, my brain is just telling me to ask this question. I'm trying to build community in my podcasts. I want to know who my people are. I want to talk with them. I want to start to engage with them more and kind of build that. What are the most important things you know about building community? Because that seems to be one of your major focuses. Yeah, well, listening is key. Absolutely, like listening to your community. If you don't know who they are, that's hard reaching out. And you know, they're out there. It's just a matter of getting them active. So finding questions that will trigger a response that you can listen to is key. That's. You asked me what the other key elements are. Well, just what do you know about bringing people together in community? Yeah. Because I'm trying to find out who mine are and start to build it. I'd like to think that I know that there's a number of people who listen. It doesn't tell me who they are. So if you're listening right now, please feel free to drop a comment below. Let me know if you are someone who's regular to Between Views. That might be a good way I can start. But Benjie, what do you know about bringing people together in community? What's your top tips? Yeah, well, the thing is, you know, drum circle facilitation, Arthur Hull I mentioned, he turns drumming into the real art of a community creation, right? Yeah. So that his logo is 2 arrows or 4 arrows facing in and 4 arrows going out. So working with what they give you is a real key element. So in terms of reciprocity, so with community, knowing what they want is really important, but working with what they give you, that way you can change that process of being organic, right? So getting yourself out of the way, your ego, your message, what it is, once they respond. So for me, the analogy of reaching out and creating community in a drum circle, when I'm going to the drum circle doesn't begin when the first beat is hit. It's got when I'm thinking about it, when I'm going on the journey in the van to it.
Yeah.
So I'm setting up, I'm thinking about how I want to create the structure, what's the space like when I get there, but it's also, I have an intention, what I want to create for these people. But when I get there, it's different. I greet people warmly, openly. I create a safe space for them, talk to them about the opportunity for not making mistakes, putting their fears at ease. So I'm being welcoming, open-armed and friendly and warm. And then, listening to them and then working with what their skill level is. So what is it that they want to get out of this? They might not use words, but it's my job as a facilitator to understand that. So to be listening to not just their words, but their body language and their faces. And, like the drum circle runs its course. So there's always transition points. Like life, we have good times, start out with lots of energy, and then eventually there'll be a change in the energy and there'll be a dropping, and now that transition is an opportunity to move somewhere else or create an ending potentially. But with a drum circle, the transition point is a point that upsets and challenges lots of people. You feel a bit uncomfortable, right? So people with anxiety are going to feel uncomfortable in order crossing a transitional point. But once we get to the other side, if you're the leader, helping facilitate to the other side, this is where we're going, you lead people out to the new point, then they feel comfortable again. The rhythm, for rhythms, drumming, it settles back in, and then eventually you'll get to another transition point. And the cycle continues, but it's about generating the interest. How do you generate the interest? At the beginning, to create community, you have to generate it. It's you're there creating, hey, this is what I'm doing, come and be part of this. So you'll be part of it. But after a while, when the community gets going, you can step back, and hopefully the community has a it self-perpetuates. That's the science.
It starts engaging with itself.
Engaging with itself. So your centralised position doesn't always have to be the same.
Organic.
It's organic. So eventually you're moving backwards. At the beginning, you're putting a lot of energy, but over time, it self-orchestrates. So it becomes a self-mobilising organism, the community, right? And how do you do that? Because you're uplifting people, you're educating and skilling them up in what it is that it is to be part of that community. For me, it's djembe. So my hope is that people get more confident to sit around the fire, to be at home and play djembe, to go to a drum circle that's unfacilitated, beat their drum, have dances, not get distracted by those dancers, keep drumming. Somebody's singing, sing the songs, but ultimately it is to connect, in a real way that's not through the technology.
Thank you.
Hope that answers it.
So usually I'll repeat back to you all of the things that I learned, but I'm struggling in this session because you're teaching me like a million little bits of wisdom every single line you say. Right. My brain's just like, wow, yeah, true. Wow, yeah, true. Over and over again. Yeah. And I'm just finding it all fascinating. I can't wait. Thank you for listening to the second part of our interview with Benjie. Next week, we have an amazing final episode jam-packed with wisdom about lifelong learning, parenthood, and sustaining your energy. We'll also meet Benjie's mentors. This will be released next Monday. Next, if you are one of our regular listeners, or even if you're new here, I'd like to invite you to leave a star rating for us on Spotify, Apple Music, or hit subscribe on YouTube. This genuinely helps us to get discovered by new listeners and would be epic if you could help us out. Thirdly, Between Views is opening its Patreon community. If you'd like to join the community and receive weekly updates and ideas, then you can check it out at patreon.com/betweenviews. In other news, Between Views is always looking for collaborators. If you want to join the team or create something together, then please reach out on Instagram. Finally, if you know someone who deserves to be interviewed or just have some feedback, then send us an email at betweenviewsbv@gmail.com or message us on Instagram. Thanks again and see you soon. Between Views.